When ARK was initially released on the Nintendo Switch in 2018, it resembled something like a velociraptor's chewed up dinner. It was ugly, it ran terribly, and was not very appealing to gamers, especially those who played it on other platforms. The main problem appeared to be the reduction of assets in the game engine to get it to run on Nintendo's handheld console. It reduced trees and dinos into a low-poly mess, taking what is normally a graphically impressive game and reducing it into a steaming dino turd. Critically, the game wasn't well received at all, with Nintendo Life saying, "We can't help but feel this ambitious title will never run at an acceptable level on Nintendo's hybrid platform." And rightly so, as it looked and performed rather terribly, earning it a score of 4 out of 10. For most developers, this would have been a disastrous launch, most likely written off after a few updates, and it certainly seemed to be that way for a while there. But in April 2022, ARK was re-released, rebuilt in the Unreal Engine 4 from the ground up to bring an entirely new experience to the Switch. And now you're asking, did it work? Is ARK fixed now? What's it like? Well, grab some rocks, punch some trees, and find some shelter so you can enjoy this updated review of ARK Survival Evolved on the Switch. Now, before we go back in time, could I ask you to like and subscribe? And if you really enjoyed my video, feel free to share it amongst your friends. It helps creators like me get found on YouTube, and I can't thank you enough for doing it. For those new to the island, ARK Survival Evolved is a survival game that can only be described as Minecraft with dinosaurs. You will forage, hunt, build a shelter, but also manage your body temperature and hydration. It's an unforgiving world, full of discovery and suspense. You'll be on edge while traveling through the swamps, scanning the reeds for movement, or hiding in cover during the darkness. It's moments like these that make the game an incredibly immersive experience by building tension as there's a constant threat to you as the player. And to add further danger when playing online, the biggest threat you will face is other players. In the early stages of the game, you will think that making a primitive bow and arrow is your greatest achievement. But given time, you will set up sources of metal and forges, craft advanced weaponry, and master taming dinosaurs. It's an incredibly rewarding experience for those who stick with it, and the deep crafting system steadily adds new concepts and mechanics to the player experience the higher your level. The gameplay loop is addictive, although it can be frustrating when starting out and you run into something much higher up in the food chain, and then you have to recover those items from your body. Depending on what ate you, it may be safer to just start fresh, as I found that it's quite difficult to take on a 20-foot tall Spinosaurus with a simple spear. As you progress though, you can tame all manner of dinosaur friends, having a flying mount, an army of raptors, or even a massive brontosaurus to help you harvest berries en masse. With the new Unreal Engine 4 overhaul, ARK Survival Evolved looks incredible, and yes, while there have been minor compromises to the engine to allow a smoother experience, the graphics are almost similar to when ARK Survival Evolved launched on the Xbox One, albeit at a lower resolution. The game is now on parity content-wise with the PlayStation and Xbox versions, featuring all the expansions that allow for a much larger scope in your adventure. There's a traditional island, Scorched Earth, Aberration, Extinction, Genesis, and Ragnarok, all included in the Ultimate Survival Edition, which regularly goes on sale for under $40 Australian. Or you can just wet your sharpening stone on the base version for $30, but that also regularly goes on a discounted price of $15 Australian. There's enough gameplay in both bundles to feed a T-Rex, and I'm sitting at about 60 hours on the default island at the moment. There is an underlying narrative to these locations, and I'm really enjoying uncovering the mysteries around who my character is and what part he plays in the grand scheme of things. The increased visual fidelity and performance help draw you into this immersive experience. Biomes range from golden beaches, treacherous swamps, and dense jungles where you listen carefully for threats ruffling through foliage. Dinosaurs are impressive and imposing, and you will soon learn what you can befriend, what you can fight, and what you should avoid altogether. The structures you build look great and the engine looks amazing, with the exception of the lighting. The bloom effects are far too aggressive and can thankfully be turned off. This does show some of the smaller imperfections that the bloom was hiding, but ultimately, in my opinion, provides a better visual experience for the game. Until night falls, that is, where it's far too dark and the stars' motion blur is headache-inducing. I understand that you aren't meant to be out at night and crafting torches provides some relief, but I think nighttime just hinders the player's experience, as you simply craft in your bunker and do what you can until you wait for daybreak. The new engine allows the game to be very well polished, with only some minor bugs encountered during my time, which range from hyper ragdoll physics to once being stuck inside my dire bear when I tried to dismount. These issues seem to sort themselves out quickly, and I never had to reload a save game due to bugs. Frame rate is fairly consistent now, sometimes dipping during heavy combat with multiple swarms of enemies, but ultimately holding up even when navigating through densely populated areas or intricately built bases. Ultimately, ARK Survival Evolved is now an incredible experience on the Nintendo Switch, addressing all of the complaints players had on launch. It looks and runs great, it has all the content that the other system has, and it even has a reasonable price point, especially for those who pick it up on sale. Sure, it took 4 years to get to this point, but the dev teams behind ARK Survival Evolved on Switch should be applauded for taking the time to rebuild the engine from the ground up to make this possible. While critics and gamers were right to think it was an impossible task, Wildcard and Grove Street Games have managed to pull off an incredible feat with ARK Survival Evolved. So after starting with such low scores, what would I rate it now? With all the changes and upgrades, it's very easy to award this an 84 out of 100. What an incredible redemption arc. Thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Because of amazing people like you, What's It Like is now my full-time job. I also do want to do a special shout out to my Patreons, S Hill, K Skip, and D Kite. I couldn't have done it without your support. Thank you.